putting together my King Quilter Elite quilting frame. And before I purchased this machine, I was looking on the internet for some information on how to make the frame, and I couldn't find any. So here's a quick tutorial. Your machine and frame will arrive on a pallet. There are 4 boxes in total. They're very heavy, so you're going to need help. And because they were so heavy, I had to uh, take the items out of the box and bring some down separately. I started with box number 4 because that's where the instruction booklet's in it. Also, you'll find that you have your leaders in here and your Velcro and more poles and another part of the frame. When you open box 3 of 4, there are 2 more boxes within that box. Open these 2 boxes, so we have metal parts and we also have parts for the poles. And there's another box underneath it. Also in this box, there's the hand wheel, the tools, and your screws. Not sure what that is yet. And various tiny little parts, as well as the ratchet system, bungee cords, etc. The third box, there are more frame parts as well as the plastic strips for the frame. So when you open up your manual, they're going to show you all these different parts, but each part tells you where you can find and what box you can find them in, because it could be a little overwhelming when you're looking through to find everything that you need. So the first part that they want you to work on is the batting bar bracket, and it's right there. Do this preparation first. So I'm going to go back, see where the upright beams are, the batting bar brackets, and the screws. I laid everything out prior so I wouldn't get confused, and I labeled everything. For the next part, you're going to be building the sides of the frame, and those are all the parts that are needed. Okay, these are all the parts that you're going to need for the next part of the construction. So I counted out the 58 screws and I put them in the bowl, and then I have 8 of the washer type screws, and it asks for 4 leveling feet, and we're going to continue on. You're going to need a measuring tape, which is not provided in your kit. They want you to determine the height of the frame, so I'm going to use my long arm tape, and I'm stepping on the 0, and I'm going to measure there to my elbow, which is at a 90-degree angle, and I already did that. It's at 38. I slid it up so it touches my elbow, and then from there you need to subtract 16 to 18 inches, and that'll give the approximate table height. So I followed the directions as it was given. Well, those directions made the table too short for me. It was too low. I ended up, after having completed the whole unit, I had to raise it up by 5 inches because I like my table higher. I like it chest height, not so much towards my belly. So it's all your personal preference. So make sure you make the correct adjustments. So the next thing is that I'm going to screw in the levelers, and they said go about halfway, so I just marked it with a little red Sharpie, just like I marked my left sides, and I have a little L here, so this way I don't get confused. I didn't record the actual screwing in of the bolts, but these are the table legs. And this is the right side of one of the legs. with the leveler feet on. Follow directions carefully. It's pretty self-explanatory, but you have to keep your left and your right apart. And that's what it looks like when it's put together. That's one side. After both sides are completed, you're going to start working on the tabletop. Depending on the size of the frame, I had a 12-foot frame, so I put two 4-foot pieces together. With a 12-foot table, you're going to need three 4-foot pieces. If you have a 10-foot table, you're going to need two 4 feet and a 2 feet in the center. You're going to have to remove the track, and the screw holes are actually on the bottom of the frame. So this is the easy part now, but when you have to attach them, you're going to have to do this on your back on the floor to screw those screws back up into those holes. It's not easy. Here are the two tables together. It's really important that they are flush, and when you turn it over that there's no bumps. It should be a nice smooth connection. After the tabletops are attached, you're then going to put the center legs on the frame. You will then add some other support pieces, and then you're going to need another person to flip the table over. There are the rails that you're going to have to attach, and the way you attach them is you lay on the floor to screw them back in. Once those are attached and they sit properly, you're going to add your pole attachments, and there you go. And then your bungee cord holders. This part tripped me up a little bit because there are screws that you put in but no nuts, and there's no way for that to stay in place. So I ended up finding in my toolbox some extra nuts, and I added them to the outside of the bungee cord holder. The next part was the hand wheel, and then I noticed that I was missing this little metal piece. How did I miss that? Make sure that you put it there. It is a support for the bracket. I added on the pole holders. Eventually I'm going to screw them into the frame, but for now I just used heavy duty industrial Velcro to hold it on, and it's working, but I don't know how long it's going to last, but eventually I'll drill them in. I cut this one end because the pole would not fit on it otherwise. So I have a little basket that I got from IKEA that holds my oiler and my brushes and tools. I have my ruler on the frame. These are Mondo clips like Renee's Red Snappers, but much cheaper. XOXO chip clips, they work great. Whoever said to do that, an amazing thing. Thank you very much. I have my electrical outlets here, so they're individual switches so I could turn on and off what I'm using. Now it was the time to attach my Cubot. So I put it on the back of the machine, and I used two metal brackets and zip ties with industrial Velcro to attach it to the back of the tablet that's already there. There's a hole in the back of the machine that I was able to screw it in, and then I just tucked the wires behind it. And there's my tablet hanging on top. Again, the same shot of the metal. And there's my two zip ties holding the tablet holder. The next thing I had to do was add on the drive assemblies to the side, and also the drive assembly to the back. Hook up the drive wires on the frame as well as the carriage. And that's what it looks like. All finished. Not really finished. I had to figure out a way to keep the wires from getting caught in the rails, so I added a piece of Velcro strip in the back of the drive wire bracket, and I was able to maintain uh, good wire control. Come visit us at dinahsquilts.com.